Perfect. Thanks, Jim. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Stacey and I am the sales manager at Lila. And Jim is our director of studies at Lila, and he's going to be doing the masterclass today with you all. Jim is one of our longest standing teachers at Lila, and he's a very sought after speaker and presenter, and puts the master in masterclass. So you're in safe hands today. We're going to be going over IELTS writing skills today and preparing for the writing test and the IELTS exam. So Jim's going to go into a lot more detail about that. But first of all, I would like to go over some details about Lila and about the school, so you have a bit of the background information about what we have available. You'll be able to see on the screen now that Lila is a British Council accredited school. We offer general English lessons all year round, and we also offer IELTS preparation, Cambridge preparation, and OET preparation. We are then also an exam centre, so we offer the Cambridge exam and we offer the OET exam as well. And we're really pleased to be a multi-award winning school. And if you see at the bottom of the screen there, we've been nominated for the Study Travel Star Award 5 times, which we're really, really proud of. Right now, Lila is lucky enough to be back face-to-face, so all of our lessons are back face-to-face, but we do still offer some online options and hybrid options as well for anybody who still wants to study online. So we've got lots of different options available for you. Are you ready to hit the next slide, please, Jim? So we also wanted to tell you today about how Lila can help you. A lot of you today may be joining this masterclass to learn about taking the IELTS exam to go on and study at university, or if you're interested in working in the UK or studying on a course in the UK. There's many different things, and we are here to help you on that journey. And just by being here today, you started that journey with us. So if you're looking for full-time work, we've had students study with us in the past who've studied on a general English course and then have gone on to get a full-time job in their chosen career. Or whether you're applying for university, especially with the IELTS, all university courses require an IELTS score. So for anybody who's applying for university, this will be a great masterclass for you to really have an insight to how you can prepare for writing tests on the IELTS exam. And also anyone who enjoys traveling, learning English is really going to open your horizons to travel the world, meeting different people, learning from their experiences. So you can see here how Lila is really going to help you with your life goals and career plans and really help you work towards achieving those goals. And by joining this masterclass today, we hope to help you take that first step. I'm going to hand over to Jim now. Oh, sorry, we're going to watch this student testimonial first. Thank you, Jim. If we can get the sound to work.
My fault, sorry, technology.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't speak with anyone. After maybe 1 month just, I was moving to a lot of levels. First, I was in the elementary. After that, I was to advanced level. So I am so proud to myself, and I advise all the people come to Layla and have experience here because you will learn a lot. And the teacher, amazing, amazing. I swear to God, this is amazing. And enjoy.
That's so nice to hear. So that was one of our past students, and if you couldn't hear very well, she was explaining how she started at Lila Elementary and finished her course of advance. So she really progressed during her time with us, whilst also meeting lots of people from around the world and having a great experience at Lila. So I hope you've understood a little bit there about what we offer at Lila and what types of things we can help you with. Now Jim's going to get started with the real thing that you're here for today, the masterclass. So I'll leave you with him. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them. And then I'll pop back on at the end as well. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Stacey, and welcome everyone. It's good to see you all from so many places around the world. So the IELTS exam. So if you've been to any of our previous master classes, you'll know that this is the first one that we've done on IELTS because it's a tough exam. So you know, my thoughts go out to you all if you're planning on taking that exam. And for many people, one of the toughest parts of the IELTS is the writing tasks. Now, my first piece of advice to everybody is get to know the exam. It is a toughie. The writing exam, there are 7 different variations for task 1 and 3 different variations for task 2. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to have to write 10 different pieces. That means you will write 2 pieces. But task 1 could be one of 7 different topics that you need to write about. And the same is true for task 2, where there's up to 3 different ones that you would have to choose from. So initially, what I'm going to do with you is just fly through those 10 different writing tasks, just to help familiarize you with them. So here's our first one, line graphs. So as you can see, you have 20 minutes and 150 words. Now, tip number 1, spend 20 minutes. There's a reason they put that there, and write 150 words. You will lose marks if you write fewer than 150 words. You will not lose marks if you write more, but you will not gain extra marks. So if this looks like something that's quite terrifying to you, lots of dotted lines on a graph and dates and axes and a key, then don't worry, you're not the only one who feels like that. But at Lila, we give lessons on all types of writing, and the idea will be to familiarize you with these. So when it comes to the day of the exam, it doesn't look quite as scary as it maybe does on this slide. So that's writing task 1, line graphs. Now, the second one that you might be asked to write about is bar charts. And in a very similar fashion to line graphs, you now have to analyze the data within this chart. So in this case, we have the title, which we will rely on and use in our writing. So the chart below shows the expenditure of 2 countries on consumer goods in 2010. And our comparison is France with the UK. And we're going to comment on the key features of the graph. So we're going to talk about the similarities with cars and computers, and the difference with books and cameras and so on. So again, if you feel a little bit nauseous, a little bit anxious when you see something like that, our lessons at Lila are designed to help you feel much better and to know what to write about when it comes to analysing the data that you see in front of you. The third one that you might be you might be asked to write about, as I say, you won't be asked to write about all of these, but you will have to choose, you will be given 1 out of 7 to write about. So our third one is tables. You will be given a table, and again, you're asked to write about the key features. So in this case, the table below gives information on consumer spending on different items in 5 different countries. Very similar to our previous task, expenditure of 2 countries, and now we have the expenditure of 5 countries. And again, you're asked to comment on the key features. Now, what you notice in these 2 charts is the language used, very formal, very academic, the expenditure, consumer goods. This isn't language that we use in everyday English, but very specific to academic English, and something that you need to be ready for, and you need to be prepared to write in that style for this exam. So let's have a look at the next one of writing task 1 is pie charts. So again, we have the main reasons for migration to and from the UK. The chosen year here is 2007, and we have to comment on immigration in comparison to emigration. So immigration coming into the country, emigration leaving the country. And we have our categories: formal studies, definite job, looking for work, accompanying. So that would be accompanying a family member or spouse or partner. No reason stated, and other. Quite a large category for other. And again, we would compare the key features. So we look at the biggest reason for travel, which is work related, and possibly the lowest, which in emigration would be formal study, and in immigration would be no reason stated. So again, the lessons are designed to make this feel like a safe place, something you know, something that you're happy to write 150 words in 20 minutes about. The next one could be multiple charts. Now, in this case, we have a bar chart and a pie chart. And again, this is something that you would be expected to write about. So this chart below gives information about the interests of people living in the UK. This is just an example. And again, comment on the key features. Now, each of these bar charts, multiple chart, pie charts that I'm showing you are genuine examples taken from actual IELTS tests. So I haven't just Googled an image of a pie chart. I've actually gone for IELTS ones just to give you a realistic overview of what to expect when taking the exam. Off the topic of charts and graphs and lines and etc. now, and then one of the other types that in writing task 1 is a diagram. So what we have here is the flow chart for production of steel, and we look at the process from the iron ore, the yellow ore, and the smelting process, and is refined and created into the ingots, and so on and so forth. And as a candidate on the IELTS exam, you would be expected to write 150 words in 20 minutes on this process. And again, you would comment on the key features and what is required in this production process. The next one that you might be asked to do is maps and plans. Now, this is the final one in writing task 1. So here we have 2 maps. Again, this is taken from an actual IELTS exam. The task here would be comment on the similarity and differences between the 2 maps shown of a village in the south of England between 1986 and present. Again, we will comment on the expansion of the primary school, the inclusion of a retirement home, the loss of farmland to housing, and so on and so forth. So on initial viewing of this, you might think, wow, that's kind of frightening. But with some simple tips, we can make this a lot more familiar for you. So just to keep on the topic of showing you and familiarizing you, I'll look at the writing task 2. So the first of the writing task 2 is the agree or disagree essay. Now we're on a longer exam now, so you are writing task 2, you're required to write 250 words. Writing task 1 was 150, writing task 2 is 250, and now you get 40 minutes. And this one, you're asked to what extent you agree or disagree. The maintenance of public libraries is a waste of money because of computer technologies that have the same function. So typically we'll get quite a controversial topic. Most people would disagree that the maintenance of public libraries is a waste of money. However, you are expected to offer your opinion and include areas on both sides of the argument. The second writing task that you may be offered is your opinion essay. And here it says discuss both views and give your opinion. And again, a somewhat controversial or discursive topic. Some people want the government to spend more money looking for life on other planets. However, Others think it's a waste of public money when there are so many problems on earth. So again, interesting topic, something that you can write about. And we'll look at some top tips later on in the presentation to how to make this all the better. And the final writing task for task 2 is a problem and solution. So we're given a typical problem, pollution in this case being very common. It could be animal welfare, poverty, education, something like this. So many developing countries, there are major problems with the quality of air. What problems has this created? What solutions could be provided? Now, if you know to expect this, then you know to think about the problems and think about solutions. So my first tip here is know your essays, know what you might be asked about. And if you are asked about it in advance, then on the day of the exam, then you're ready to offer those solutions. So let's think about some actual tips. Well, first of all, know how you're marked, know what you're being assessed on. And this in itself is a mouthful. So here's the band descriptors for task 1. And we have 0 to 9. The good thing is you cannot fail an IELTS exam. You turn up and write your name, you get half a point. Now, you're not going to get your university place with half a point, but it's good to know what you're assessed on. And we'll have a look at what it means by task achievement, coherence and cohesion in a moment. But it's good to know that with a simple Google search, you can say, well, I need 5.5, I need 6, I need 7, and then a very simple overview of what a candidate of that grade needs to be able to do. So these are can-do statements. They can cover the requirements of the task. They can present a clear purpose, etc., etc. So top tip number 1, know how you're marked, know what you're assessed on. Let's have a look at those descriptors a little bit more closely. So the first one we have, whoops, apologies, is, no, I can't see it. Right, the first, task achievement. So that was just hidden by the barrier there, the bar at the top. So task achievement. So here the examiner assesses how well you have fulfilled the task. Have you included all the relevant information? So when we are analyzing the graphs, when we're analyzing the information in the bar charts, the pie charts, the line graphs, as we saw before, the plans, the maps, have you included all the relevant information? Now, the key word here is relevant. And is it in your own words? Now, we'll look at what we mean by that in a moment. And did you write at least 150 words? So a minimum requirement. Second was grammatical range and accuracy. Now, this is about the structures that you use. If you use everything in the present simple, you're not going to get as high a mark as if you vary your grammar. As the various tasks are designed, you will be required to talk about the past, talk about the present, and talk about the future. If you can use a range of grammatical structures to do that, then you're going to achieve those higher marks that you so need to go to university, as Stacey pointed out. However, is the grammar of your sentences generally accurate? There's no point in sticking a future perfect continuous in there when it's not required, a past simple when it's not required. So if you're unsure on your grammar, the advice here is stick to what you know. Don't push it, don't experiment. It's better to use a limited range accurately than a wider range inaccurately. Coherence and cohesion. Now, these two words are very complex in themselves, but actually the idea is quite simple. So coherence, is it easy to understand? So when, as an IELTS marker, we're given criteria to follow. And one of the criteria is that, it's quite a lovely term, it says the strain placed on the reader, or the strain placed on the listener. So by that we mean, how easy is it to understand? Do I need to reread what you have written? Do I need to re-listen to what you have said in order to understand it? Or can I understand it straight away? And cohesion is how well your ideas are linked together. It's not good enough just to write a sentence. For example, in 2002, there were 58,000 computers. In 2004, there were 60,000 computers. In 2006, there were 62,000 computers. What we need to do is join our ideas together, link our ideas. And as it says here, is there a smooth flow of ideas? Have you used paragraphs effectively? Now, we will look at that again in a moment. And importantly, are your sentences and clauses joined together with the appropriate linking words and phrases? And the final category for task 1 is lexical resource. Now, lexical is just a fancy teacher word for vocabulary, for words. Are you using the right words? And are you using a variety of words? Are the words you used formal? And they're appropriately formal. Are they spelt correctly? And are they used in the correct form? For example, have you used the noun form when it should be the adjective? Or have you used the adjective when it should be the verb? So know how you're marked, know your limitations, and you'll do much, much better in the exam. And the same is true for IELTS writing task 2. So here are our band descriptors. We have the same terms: grammatical range and accuracy, lexical resource, coherence and cohesion, but this time it's the task response. So task response is, have you fulfilled the task? Have you addressed all of the points? And importantly, in task 2 rather than in task 1, are your ideas supported by examples and reasons? Did you stay on topic? There's no point in writing 250 words about the last time you went on holiday when the task asks you to write about, in the future, nobody will buy printed newspapers or books because they'll be able to write them online. So, you know, it's important to stay on task and answer the actual questions. And then cohesion and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy are the same as previous. So now you know what to write about. The next thing to consider is the structure. The structure of a piece of academic writing is very, very important. Now, I put here IELTS essays are very formulaic. Now, this is just a fancy word to say we do things in the same way each time. In the opinion, we start with an introduction. Now, originally, I mentioned that you used your own words. So in the title, in the question, you may be asked to discuss a certain topic. Now, you will write that in the introduction, but you'll rephrase it into your own words, and then you'll give your opinion. In body paragraph 1, you'll support your opinion with the arguments, explanations, and examples. Body paragraph 2, you'll support your opinion with further examples, with more arguments. And then finally, your conclusion, where you restate your opinion and summarize the main parts. If you do these 4 parts of the opinion essay and you stick to the word limit and you stick on topic, you will do fine. In the discussion essay, again, rephrase the question. And this time you say what your essay is going to do. So what we call in the industry signposting. I'm going to talk about the following. Body paragraph 1, discuss the advantages. Body paragraph 2, discuss the disadvantages. And conclusion, give your own opinion. Sorry, giving your own opinion is not necessary. So you need to know that in a discussion essay, it's not about your opinion. It's about the key points. You're going to conclude by summarizing the key points of your body paragraph. And then finally, the opinion and discussion essays, where we, again, rephrase the question, give your opinion, say what your essay will do, same as the discussion, and this time discuss the side you disagree with. This is what you do first. Then discuss the side you agree with. And you need to make it clear that you do agree. And then finally, your conclusion. So, tip number 2 is follow the procedure. It works. It's what expected. It's what is expected. The next thing to consider is how you write your introduction. One of the first things you can do to help yourself is find a load of essay questions and just rephrase them. You're going to have to do that in every single essay that you write, from task 1 to task 2. Then find another way to do it, because you're going to have to restate your opinion at the end. You're going to have to restate your main point. You're going to have to summarize your main point. So by practicing your introductions and practicing your conclusions, you're already halfway there. All you need to remember is which ones is your opinion necessary and which ones is your opinion not. So let's think of our next. Now that you have the structure, learn the common language and structures and collocations needed. So if we look at some language here, this is taken from a course book designed to teach people IELTS. And look at the language used here. This isn't something that I say in my everyday life, but it's something I have to use in the IELTS exam. They're very specific about the type of language. So sales rocketed over the period. Well, think of a rocket straight up. The purchase of the furniture was rather erratic, hitting a peak in the middle of the period. This isn't language we use in our everyday life. Sales of fish rose dramatically. There's a slight dip, steady increase, wild fluctuations, plunged, dramatic fall. All of this language is specific to task 1 and describing bar charts, line charts, graphs, etc. So learn the language. And just to demonstrate how this would work, so let's think about some of these. Sales rocketed. The price was rather erratic. And let's find another one. Dipped slightly. And here are the graphs that represent it. So in number 7, it dipped slightly. But we need to know that dip means go down and back up. Just like you dip your crisps, just like you dip your biscuits in your cup of tea. It rocketed, figure 8, straight up like a rocket, very steep. Number 5, fluctuated wildly. Number 4, fell dramatically. Number 3, rose significantly and then leveled off. So knowing the language that is expected and knowing the language related to these kinds of charts and figures is absolutely key. And as I say, it's not language we typically use in everyday life. So get your general English and then move on to the academic English. So the next tip is you have the structure, you have the content, you know what to do, you know what's expected to you, so practice. Practice, practice, practice. But stick to the time limits. Remember, you get 20 minutes for task 1 and you write 150 words. You get 40 minutes for task 2 and you write 250 words. If you write 250 words in an hour and a half at home, it's not going to be any use to you. You need to get used to that time limit. 20 minutes goes incredibly quickly when the clock is against you. So practice at home. Initially, sure, initially spend as much time as you like, but as you lead up to the exam, stick to that time limit, because the more familiar you are with how long 20 minutes is, you're not going to be constantly, well, actually, you're not allowed to watch an exam. You're not going to be constantly looking at the clock. So get used to what 20 minutes feels like when you're under pressure. Have a look at our next slide. So our next slide is it's difficult. There we are. Take your time before you jump into it. Look at what you're writing about. There's no point in opening up your exam and writing straight away. We see this all the time. What we want is people to take their time, look at it, spend a minute. What are the key features? What are the most important features? And they're what you're going to write about. Don't just jump in and write anything. Organize your writing. As we said before, it needs to be cohesive. It needs to be linked together. So if I'm contrasting two pieces of information, I might use whilst. Whilst it is true that immigration was high in 2006, it dropped off significantly in 2012. Whereas sales of books were high in France, they were somewhat lower in the UK during the same period. On the other hand, however, all of these linking devices, these phrases that we use in this type of text, and remember, clear paragraphs, task 1 and task 2. Task 2, it's very set. Introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, conclusion. You're not going to use bullet points. You're going to write full, complete sentences in full and complete paragraphs. Get used to what 150 words looks like, or what 250 words looks like. Your handwriting and my handwriting will not be the same. 250 words for one person is a side of A4 paper. 250 words for another person is half a side of A4 paper. This is what I mean by A4. I don't know if you have the same measurement. So that's a piece of A4 paper, a common piece of writing paper. Don't waste your time counting your words. You haven't got time. That 20 minutes will be gone like that. That 40 minutes will be gone like that. And that brings me on to my next point. The timings are not announced. You get a warning when there's 10 minutes left and 5 minutes left. But after 20 minutes, nobody will say, you should move on to task 2 now. Or after 40 minutes, you should move back onto task 1. It doesn't work like that. You can choose task 1 first or task 2. If you're better at task 1, then do task 1 first. If you're better at task 2, then do task 2 first. But nobody will tell you other than there's 10 minutes left and there's 5 minutes. However, there is always a clock in the exam room. And if you can't see that clock, tell the invigilators, tell the people who work there, because they're required to get you a clock that you can see. And in the diagram, in the process diagram, mention each step, although the minor details you can omit. But the important stages, you must mention all of them. If you, let's say, for example, we're talking about the water cycle. So the rainwater falls from the clouds, flows into the rivers, evaporates into the clouds, and falls as rain. If you miss one of those steps out, not only will we have a drought, but you'll miss a vital part of your writing and you will lose. It is an academic exam. We're using academic English. As we've seen so far, academic English and normal general English are not the same. We don't use contractions. I'm, you're, it. We use the passive voice. It is known that the rain, the water is absorbed by, is transpired by the trees, is evaporated into vapor, etc. Avoid personal language. Not I can see, but it can be seen. So they're a very formulaic, very common, very typical academic register. That's formal, informal by registers. So be familiar with that. Know your passive voice and when you should use it. In task 1, don't do any calculations. Don't give your opinion. All you're doing in task 1 is describing the data as you see it in front of you. It's not asking you to analyze it. It's not asking you to give a reason why tourism was much higher in 2005 than in 2020. I mean, we all know why there's no tourism in 2020, but that's not our place to comment on. You must include the data. So use that data. As I say, spend a moment, take it in, think about what you're going to write, make a plan, and comment on all the key points. Begin with an introductory sentence. Now, don't simply copy the question, but you can use the question. Whilst the question will give you a statement, for example, the graph below gives information about the technology that households in the US city used for watching television between 2004 and 2014. That's the title of my graph. I'm going to use that and I'm going to reword it in general terms. So we're not simply copying the question. And as you read the question, underline the keywords. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So my main words there: summarize, select and report, main features, and comparisons. Now I know, as I look back, these are the parts that I need to focus on in my exam. Task 2, where required, state your opinion. But know where your opinion is required, because if you put it in the point where it's not required, again, you will lose marks. So do make sure that you stick to the formula that we adopt for such pieces of writing. And where required, state your opinion in the introduction and then again in the conclusion. you must provide supporting arguments. So if we have the for and against, depending, of course, on which task you're doing, give examples, provide supporting arguments. Now, these can be difficult because you might not be familiar with the topic, but you still need to provide an example. You still need to provide a supporting argument. Now, nobody said that supporting argument has to be real. Nobody said it has to be true. In fact, it doesn't matter if it's completely made up, complete lies, it's fabricated. All that matters is how you write. What you write is less important. How you write it is what we're looking for. And make a plan. I know your time is limited, but because that structure is so important, if you miss something, you can't just put it on at the end. Otherwise, you've lost that important structure. You can't just put it on the end. Otherwise, those linking words, those linking phrases, it's not going to flow. It's not going to go smoothly. And it's not going to be that cohesive piece of writing that you're so able and capable of doing. And I think my final tip is write neatly. Imagine the examiner being faced with something like this. What would you do? You know, you want to put the examiner on your side. You want the examiner to like you. You don't want the examiner to spend 10 minutes trying to work out what each word means. Remember, if they can't read it, they can't mark it. So if your handwriting is messy like mine is, practice, practice, practice. My joined up writing is terrible. So when I write on the whiteboard, when I write freehand, I write without joining it up. And that's what cursive writing is. Cursive writing is joined up writing. So remember, make sure it's legible, make sure it's readable, and keep the examiner on your side. Make their life easier. They've got a lot of essays to mark. They're my top tips. So I shall now pass you back to Stacey.
Thank you so much, Jim. That was brilliant. I think definitely anyone listening there will have learned some really useful tips and some things that seem quite simple but are really valuable. Definitely some really great tips there. So thank you. If anybody has any questions for Jim, please feel free to unmute your microphone now. Now's a good chance for you to ask him any questions or any tips or advice that he has for you, or feel free to write in the comment box as well. So any questions, please feel free to ask Jim now.
I'll do my best to answer. I can't promise.
If we've got no questions, before we finish up, I'd just like to take 5 more minutes of your time, if that's okay, everybody, and go over a brilliant offer that we currently have available exclusively to anybody who's attended this masterclass. So if you're looking now after listening to Jim, listening to his advice and tips, and you're thinking about really preparing for the IELTS exam, then Lila would like to help you and would like to offer you this exclusive offer. So the first thing that we have available in the offer is access to Lila's study group, which is a private Facebook group for support, networking, and some tips and advice. So in this Facebook group, there are past Lila students, present Lila students, teachers, and staff. So it's a really great community for you to communicate with each other, share ideas. There may be somebody who's done the IELTS exam before who you can connect with, and they can also give you advice along with teachers or staff members as well. We often post little mini challenges and quizzes that are really good ways for you to learn and really help prepare you for the exam as well. So that's completely free. If anybody's interested, please let me know. We are then also offering a one-to-one debriefing meeting with Jim himself. As I mentioned earlier, Jim's got many years of experience of teaching and preparing students for the exam. And before you start at Lila, we get you to complete an online placement test where we can see your current level of English. However, this personalised and detailed feedback session with Jim will really help him give you advice on where he thinks you are in preparing for the IELTS exam, how long he thinks you might need to gain the score or level that you want to gain in the IELTS exam, and really give you some tailored and focused advice. Typically, this is usually £100 to have this service with Jim, but we're offering it completely free to anybody who's attended this session, and it's really, really valuable for you to listen to Jim's advice, see what length of course he thinks you could study on, or different ways he thinks you could prepare for the exam. So definitely take advantage of that. Next, we have a registration fee that is usually £45, but again, we're going to offer this completely free. So a price that was usually £45, we're going to offer this completely free. And lastly, we're going to offer you a 10% discount on any tuition fees. So if you are interested in joining one of our preparation courses to fully prepare for the IELTS exam, then we're going to offer you a 10% discount. If anybody's interested in learning more about any of those offers, or interested in booking a course, or what courses we have available, then please do get in touch. My email address is stacey@lilalovetolearn.com, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have and offer advice. If you put masterclass in the subject of the email, I'll know straight away that you are one of our masterclass attendees, and I can make sure you can gain those exclusive offers. So what are you waiting for? Make sure you get in touch today and take advantage of this brilliant offer. We understand that times are tough post-COVID, and money might be tight, time might be tight. So we really wanted to support you on that journey to getting your IELTS score that you need for your future goals, whether it be a job, university. We hope we can help you along the way at Lila. I think that's everything that I need to go over. Like I said, if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to ask them. This is also being recorded as well, so we'll send it out to you as well, so you can watch it back and really look into those tips that Jim gave you as well. But if there's no questions, we'll say goodbye for now, and thank you for attending, everyone. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Brilliant. Kimberly said thank you. Thank you, everyone in the comments. Great webinar. Thanks for the great tips. Oh, thanks, everyone. That's brilliant.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm happy to hear that you all really enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone. Bye.